Listen, Scott McTominay represents an opportunity, I think, for Manchester United. I think it's abundantly clear that Erik ten Hag wants to move him on, and it's probably also clear that the player himself would like to find pastures new. He's agreed terms with Napoli, but the issue is that Napoli are trying to move on Victor Osimhen before they can afford it. There's also some talk that they're looking at bringing Lukaku in just to continue that Chelsea circus that's going on. So whether or not Scott McTominay goes to Napoli seems like it's quite a complex deal. Not the straightforward bit of McTominay going. It's them being able to accommodate McTominay in terms of the fee and the rest of that sort of stuff. Fulham have supposedly also opened talks, according to Dharmesh Seth. They are expected to make an improved offer if the talks go their way. They weren't expected to come back in unless United were willing to negotiate on the asking price. I believe Fulham came in at like 17 million. United wanted 30. You may be able to split the difference there at somewhere in the mid-20s and probably see that transfer go through. I think United would be happy to do that. The Sun are reporting that Crystal Palace and Brighton are interested in signing Scott McTominay, but it does seem like Fulham and Napoli were also likely to be the more likely destinations as it stands at the moment. But the opportunity is, I think, very much in the sense of the way Wan-Bissaka was very, very key to us just getting the De Ligt and Mazraoui deals over the line, because if you look at the speed at which those deals finalised, the second that Wan-Bissaka gave the nod to West Ham, I think it shows that Manchester United are trying to stay within the boundaries of PSR and FFP this season, because obviously you've seen quite severe punishment meted out to clubs that haven't been able to actually fulfil what they've been required to with that. But also because I think they're trying to manage the squad. And I think there's a good handful of players that United would be fine with letting go. I think Sancho is very obviously one of those. I think there's a case to be made that Casemiro and Antony and possibly McTominay and Eriksen are also on that list. But it seems like McTominay, with his status as an academy player and being pure profit, able to be booked like immediately, is a very, very good thing for the club in terms of like adherence to PSR and that. And I think that when I think about Scott McTominay as a player, I think last season he scored a series of very, very important goals that really did well for Manchester United. But that wasn't his role, and I believe Joshua Zirkzee will come in and do a better job at that second striker off the bench, or even Højlund coming on if Zirkzee has started, because I don't think it's as clear or set in stone how that dynamic's going to work just yet. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that Højlund has started a game, we haven't managed to score, or the opposition have pulled one back, we are drawing going into the last 15 minutes of a game, and you want to bring on someone that you think can help get you a goal. Now, McTominay was effective in that role last season. Even had some claims of people saying, let's play him as a striker. He played as a striker in the academy. Look, no, he didn't, right? Really. He was a fill-in striker in the same way he's been a fill-in striker in his senior career, in the same way that he's been a fill-in centre-half at times in his career for Manchester United. Like, there was a time under Jose Mourinho where Manchester United wanted to sign a young striker. He was there on trial. I can't remember the guy's name. He'd come from, I want to say, Aldershot. Young striker, decent reputation about him, and United wanted somewhere in the region of $250,000 to sign him. And Jose Mourinho would not sanction that, because apparently Jose Mourinho was in charge of sanctioning signings for our reserve or under-23 squad. It might have even been under-21 squad at the time. And he wouldn't do it. He said, I need to sort the first team out first. And that was why we saw both Matty Willock and Scott McTominay playing up front in the under-21s. He was not a striker coming through the academy that got moved into midfield. He was a midfielder that got moved to play up front and then went back into midfield when he came into the first team. So he does have some experience of playing up front, but he was never a striker. This isn't like a Mason Greenwood coming through, or a James Wilson coming through, or even a Will Keane coming through. He was never a striker. He was a central midfielder, probably a box-to-box midfielder when you look at the sort of dynamic of how he is as a footballer. Could operate in a defensive role as a six sometimes when the tactical requirement needed it. We've seen him a lot further forward in Erik ten Hag's sort of system. But he doesn't suit that game for me. And I think his inability to progress the ball once in possession means that he's not someone that Erik ten Hag is going to favour and going to select off the bench, which is a shame because this is a player that's not on a lot of money, seemingly got a real good character, seemingly never injured, is a bit of a leader, is an absolute phenom when it comes to like the physical fitness. Like his 5K time is genuinely ridiculous. He's got 200 and some appearances as a Manchester United player. He's versatile. He's experienced. He's done an absolute madness for Scotland in qualifying. And I think when you need someone to come off the bench, I don't feel like there's a lot of fuss to be had for just keeping McTominay around. Now, if he wants to move on, he wants to move on, and that's fine. There's obviously a lot of PSR reasons for why you would want to move him on. And maybe United need to have less sentiment and loyalty and actually more ruthlessness when it comes to the player markets. But I do think that if not Scott McTominay, players like Scott McTominay, players that have come through the academy, which does matter. People say it doesn't matter, but it does matter. There's a real genuine love and connection for the club. You can't accuse academy players that have been there since they were children of being mercenaries and just there to pick up their paychecks. That's not the case. You can absolutely upgrade him. Like I'm not sitting here telling you he's a footballer that he isn't. He's not. But he is a footballer that does have certain tactical uses. His wages are negligible for the size of the club. And I wonder, if you had to replace him in a squad, what it would cost you to do so. And that's where I say, are United doing the smart thing here? Are they doing the right thing? Now, the answer might be a simple yes. I'm asking a question. I'm not putting forward an answer saying that it's wrong. I'm just asking the question. The answer might be, yeah, because actually if we can book 24 million against our PSR and pure profit because of Scott McTominay's sale, then that allows us to bring in a Sander Berg. And actually we think Sander Berg, not only does he suit the way we play more, but he's probably a starter in our system. That very much might be the answer. I'm just asking the question. Because I think, football is about opinions, more so than so many other sports. So many other sports are closed skill sets, and football with the constantly changing algorithm of shapes and formations and individual motivations and tactics and form mean that so much more opinion comes into this. But it does appear that McTominay will move on. I'm just wondering, is it one of those that we live to regret? But it does seem like there has become a bit of a bidding war for him. And yes, okay, Real Madrid are not one of the teams that are in for him. But the fact that Premier League teams are willing to go head-to-head for him, and even a team like Napoli. As I said on Transfer Review the other day, imagine they give him the number 10. Imagine they give Scott McTominay the number 10 at Napoli. Could you imagine? Maradona shirt. Shows how much the game has changed in recent years. But anyway, it looks like he'll go. Like I said, only ever heard good things about him as a professional, so I'm sure he'll go on have a decent second half of his career, probably in a very much in a Phil Neville kind of vein, actually. End up captain somewhere, possibly in the Premier League. But it'd be interesting to see that if he does go, what happens next? Is there an immediacy button pushing of either Rabiot or Sander Berg? Or is this seemingly stalling over what's going on with Ugarte? Actually, United just trying to buy time to offload some players. We will find out very soon, won't we? Until then, see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.